On May 12th, 2002, there was a double homicide in Conway, Arkansas. It was Conway, Arkansas's first double homicide they ever had. The two victims were Carter Elliot, age 49, and Timmy Wayne Robinson, age 25. They were both found face down in the living room of the home with bullet shot to the back of the head, palms up, execution style. That home's about 4.5–5 miles from here in a nice neighborhood in Conway, West Conway, and we're gonna visit there as well. About 6:45 on the 12th of May, a woman ran across the street, beating on the neighbor's door, screaming that they're all dead. The man called 911. Her name was Brandy, and that was Carter Elliott's girlfriend. And this is where the story begins. Carter Elliot and Lark was divorced in 1992. They had been divorced for about 10 years when he was murdered. When they got divorced, she had moved to Salt Lake City, Utah, and met an emergency room physician and married him. But they were only married a few months because he had took care of her and made sure all of her needs were met until they were married, and then that stopped. And she also felt that he had lived a double life. He was obviously way into guns. Not that nothing's wrong to be into guns, but he had 100 or more. He had a Class C license that made it eligible for him to have machine guns or silencers. And he would make up stories like he was going on trips to Afghanistan for some secret military mission. And I even read at another part that another doctor had said that there was evidence that he had cut himself with a scalpel and inserted bullets to make it look like he had been shot while on these secret trips to Afghanistan. Well, a month after the murders here in Conway, Arkansas, Lark had gone missing, and through pleas from her daughter to Richard, he admitted that he had kidnapped her and took her to his cabin up in Utah. And within 48 hours, the police had secured her release, and upon inspecting and cataloging everything in the cabin, there was 100 guns or so. There was a gun within reach anywhere you could be in the cabin. And there were also maps to get to Conway, Arkansas, to the address of her ex-husband, Carter Elliot. And they also found the same type of ammunition that was found at the murder scene. There was one round that had come out of the gun and landed in a ball cap from one of the victims, from Timmy. I think it was a Glacier was the brand. They stopped making it a long time ago. He had those. Well, he was tried for kidnapping and sentenced to 15 years. Faulkner County prosecutors refused to charge him with murder because they only had circumstantial evidence. They didn't really have physical evidence. I would argue that the bullet found is physical evidence, but what do I know? 9 years later, he's getting out of jail. He's going to be released. 2 days before his release, Conway County prosecutors charge him, and he's sent back here to Arkansas. In 2013, it takes a jury less than an hour to convict him. He's sentenced to life without parole, and I think 15 years on each person for enhanced for having used a weapon, a gun. In 2017, Richard Conte dies in prison. Timmy Wayne Robinson's buried in Star City, Arkansas, about 2 hours south of here. 45 minutes or so south of Pine Bluff. Carter Elliott's buried here we are today. He's located right over here. Man gets divorced, been divorced 10 years, living his own life. Out of the blue, some wacko drives nonstop from Salt Lake City all the way back to Conway, dresses it up as a SWAT team member to gain entry into the house, executes both of them, and gets back as fast as he can. But he got caught. This just goes to show that you have no control over what happens. Whatever's going to happen, what's going to happen is it's the way it's going to be. Edmond Carter Elliot, October 28th, 1953, May 19th, 2002. Okay, folks, we're in the neighborhood that Carter Elliott's house where they were killed at. I can't get the drone up in this area, but here is the house. Right inside that door there on the foyer is where they found them both executed face down. This house went up for sale recently for about $330,000. I knocked on the door. I came here a couple weeks ago and knocked on the door, and I could hear them in there, but they wouldn't answer the door, but that's okay. So that's the end of this week's episode. Like and subscribe. If you learned anything from this episode, please subscribe. Shady Valley.